Well, g'day, welcome to Stu Shed, the YouTube Chronicles. This episode I want to have a quick look at the Tormek T7. It's a water-cooled sharpening system, and it is a really nice little beastie for sharpening pretty much most of your edge tools. Well, I say most just simply because I can't think of any tool that it can't do at this stage. From your turning tools, through your plane blades, through your kitchen knives, scissors, planer blades, etc. Primarily it's based around this, which is the primary grinding wheel or grindstone. It's a 250mm diameter with a 50mm width, and that makes for a lot of grinding material that's available right there. It's not exorbitant with its 200, 220, it's around about that sort of grit, but it can also be dressed up so it acts as 1000 grit for a finer finish. This is the latest model of the T7, and one of the features that you can see here is this here is the way that the wheel is actually secured to the machine. It's no longer requiring a spanner, and it's actually just hand tightened on. Makes for a very quick toolless change between the different wheels that are available. Another thing that we have here, the water bath here has now got a much wider lip here, and as your tool is tracking across the stone, as it's picking up water, it's likely to shed that water off the side, and so it's nice to have this wider tray here to catch any drips that form. Now, when I first got this machine out of the box, I found this piece of plastic down here, and I just thought it was actually part of the packaging, and I certainly didn't find any specific documentation that I could see, as much as I read the manual, to actually know what it is. And just had a look at something the other day, and suddenly discovered that it is actually an integral part of the machine for when you're doing wider tools, particularly when you're doing your planer blades or your blades off your thicknesser. And this actually just clips, I can just fit that on there, just clips on there to provide a much wider catchment area for any drips. So for a tool when you're actually sharpening that comes right out the side here, as you do with your larger, like 15-inch planer blades, it just means that there's that extra water catchment area. So hopefully no one else has thrown it away. I'm glad I didn't actually throw it away, but I certainly wasn't. I didn't actually think it was part of the machine. So a bit of a trap for young players there. Right, what else do we have here? Now, well, one of the other things that has come out with the T7 is this square edge jig. Now, it's different to the older style jigs, and if I can just show you here, in the older jigs the plain blade used to reference off this lower edge here, and then you used to tighten down the holder to hold the blade against that lower edge. And not so much with a blade like this, which is around again about 50mm across. It would have a tendency that will sit quite true, but a thinner blade like a chisel has quite a small area on that bottom surface, so you could actually have a tendency for it to twist, and you end up basically creating a skew chisel because of the way it's sharpened off center. Whereas this here, the blade now actually references off this top surface, which is typically where you've got the most contact area. There's a reference on the side here, so you butt up against this side here, and that keeps the tool perpendicular to the direction of to the holder. And the knobs here now tighten this plate up, so it's actually holding this up against that large reference surface. And that is a much better way of doing just a standard plain blade or chisel. Now on the tool itself, you've got one stop here, and if I now put this back onto the support arm there, that there then becomes a stop, so your blade can't fall off the side of the chisel. the blade can't fall off the side of the wheel, and on another system I found that I was doing that quite a lot, and it can be a bit frustrating. It just means you need a little bit more concentration than what is maybe necessary for the task. Whereas having just something as simple as that stop there prevents that from happening. And on the other side, there is just a simple hand tightened stop there. And so now the blade can track across without actually really having to watch it or think about it, and yet you're not going to fall off the side of the blade. A really simple yet clever solution. Now, typically when I'm using these machines, I allow the wheel to actually travel away from the blade, but you can have it working the other way around if you so choose. No, I think in a certain extent that's personal preference. Now, if I just get this machine running, and the switch is just around the top here, you see very quickly that the wheel is just picking up a constant bed of water, and so the surface of the stone has just got this constant film of water, and there is no way with that constant cooling happening for you to actually burn your tool at all. Particularly important with quality blades, that you don't actually lose the temper in the blade. Now, when you're sharpening and you're tracking back and forth, and obviously I've already got this set up for the correct angle, and I can just keep on going like that for as long as I like until the blade's sharpened. Now, one thing that I found written about this machine was the apparent inability for you to stall it. And so here I have a 50mm wide blade on the 50mm wide stone, so that's going to make the maximum contact area. So if I have any chance of stalling the stone, it will be with this blade. Now obviously I'm having the wheel turning away from the blade. It may actually make some difference if you have it turning towards, just a little bit more of a chance of the tool to dig in and perhaps help try to stall the machine. But I really don't like doing that to the stone. I certainly don't like doing that to the blade, and I don't see any real advantage testing it in that respect. But with this one here, let's put some serious pressure on there. So I'm just putting a moderate amount of pressure, and I don't know if you can see how white the fingers are. That's about 30% pressure. If I now increase that, you can hear it starting to struggle a bit, but it hasn't decreased in speed whatsoever. You can just hear the motor starting to work. I said struggle, I probably am quite wrong in that. It's not struggling, it's just working a bit harder. Now, that's to the point where I'm causing quite considerable pain in my hand, and I'm still not having any impact whatsoever on that stone speed. Now, you'll have to take my word from it. I tried that just before with both hands, and I still could not achieve a stalled situation. In fact, I didn't manage to slow the machine down at all. Now, you can either call me incredibly weak, but I can tell you I put a fair amount of pressure into that blade, and the machine didn't bat an eyelid, and that was very impressive. So yeah, that's just one of the things that I wanted to test with this machine. That was that claim about the inability to stall it. And one of the other nice things, again when I was polishing the back of this blade, and you can see that blade there is quite polished now, is the side of the wheel here is nice and flat, and there is, well, I'd say there is no run out in that wheel at all that I can certainly detect. Certainly nothing that impacted on me at all. And I'm used that side to flatten the back of the blade and to start to achieve that sort of finish there, and then just quickly transfer it over onto the buffing wheel with some of the honing compound just to finish it off. So that's just a very quick look at the T7 and some of the new aspects of the current model. And yes, it's going to be a tool that's going to be put through its paces. I've certainly got a lot of chisels and blades and turning tools in the shop that really need some TLC. So it's going to be nice to have such a well, such a quality machine to bring them up to spec again, and obviously then maintain them.